He usually spends most of the day at his farm mowing and taking care of the ground. It may not be the Taj Mahal yet, but since his retirement from Dow several years ago, he's been living the good life. There will, however, be one thing different about this particular Saturday. What Albert doesn't know is that a severe line of thunderstorms, and possibly even a tornado, is moving his way. Because this is a rural location, he doesn't have a television and his radio is off. But there is a system in place that may very well save his life. Across town a ways, the Senecas. Mark, Renelle, and their daughter Randy are also outside enjoying the day. Like Albert, the Senecas are unaware of the approaching storm and the impact it could have on their lives. Which brings us to an important question. Do you know what to do if a severe thunderstorm or tornado is approaching your community? And do you know what to do if a chemical emergency occurred at a facility near your home? This presentation has been produced to help you understand some basic safety tips for keeping you and your family safe during emergencies of this type. Keep in mind that severe thunderstorms with tornadoes, especially in the hot months of summer, can form almost without notice. Such was the case several years ago when a tornado touched down in Grove State, Louisiana, killing 2. Likewise, chemical leaks are possible anywhere chemicals are stored or transported, not just around plants, but also at gas stations, dry cleaners, and swimming pools. Like Albert and the Senecas, we are all subject to severe weather and/or chemical contact of some kind, from detergents like ammonia and bleach, to swimming pool supplies such as chlorine, as well as other home products such as cleaning supplies and paints. Chemical-based products have become a necessity in our everyday life. But exposure to many chemicals, particularly in high concentrations for a prolonged period of time, can be hazardous to your health and must be avoided. There is a very simple program that has been developed to help protect you in the event of severe weather or from an airborne chemical leak. It's called Shelter in Place. Shelter in Place is simply that, staying where you are in a sheltered area until the threat of weather or chemical exposure passes. That's what this presentation is about. Because we live in an area often affected by hurricanes, tornadoes, or potential chemical emergencies, each of us need all the help we can get to keep our families safe. That's why the Iberville Parish Care Committee, in conjunction with the Office of Emergency Preparedness, have established a network of alarms and sirens around the parish. These sirens are there to alert you to the potential for severe weather conditions or chemical emergencies that might occur in the area. It is important for you to be familiar with the alarms of the facilities in your area, as well as the area-wide sirens put in place by the care member companies. The important thing to remember is that if you hear a warning signal for an extended period of time, there may be a problem. Unless you are instructed by emergency officials to evacuate, you should shelter in place where you are, which brings us back to Mr. Kirby. Now, Albert is obviously away from the security of a suitable, secure building when he hears the alarm. Upon hearing the alarm, though, Albert knows there is a problem. First of all, by being familiar with the schedule for testing the alarm, he knows that it's never sounded on a Saturday unless there is an emergency. Because of the location where he's working, the only way to obtain information on the emergency is to turn on his truck radio, tune it to 1610 or 1620 AM, and listen for instructions. Initially, he may not know if the emergency is a weather-related problem or chemical release. This is important due to the fact that a weather-related emergency, such as a tornado, would require him to seek shelter other than a vehicle. For a chemical release, on the other hand, it would be best for Albert to shelter in place in his truck. Whatever the case, you must tune in and listen for instructions. In this case, Albert learns that a tornado has been sighted just north of his location. Because the tornado has been reported several miles away, Albert realizes that he must leave the area and seek suitable shelter. If the tornado had been in sight, it would have been best for Albert to abandon his truck and seek shelter in a ditch or low-lying area, protecting his head with his hands. Never try to outrun a tornado in your vehicle. Looking back at this situation, what if this had been a chemical emergency? What would Albert have done differently? In the first place, if there is not a permanent structure in the area, going to a car or truck is still the best first choice. You must find out what the emergency is. Once in the vehicle, assume that the emergency is chemical related, at least until you know differently. As you listen for details, first, roll all your windows up tightly. Second, keep your motor off or shut it off to keep from drawing air into the vehicle. Next, make sure the heater or air conditioner is turned off and all vents are closed. Turn on your radio and listen for instructions. Finally, stay inside your vehicle until you've heard the all clear or you are instructed to move to an evacuation center. Across town a ways, the clouds have already begun to move in, and Mark and his family are reacting to the sound of the alarm. Their first response was to tune into a local television station where Mark learns that a tornado has touched down in the area. The family immediately begins to take the appropriate action to help assure their safety. This is important due to the fact that in a weather-related emergency, such as a tornado, you may only have a few brief minutes to take the appropriate actions. So, what is the proper procedure to take? First, if you are outdoors, you should immediately go inside. Second, stay away from the windows, doors, and outside walls. Take cover immediately. If there is no basement, go to an interior part of the structure on the lower level, such as a closet or interior hallway, and stay there until the danger has passed. Now let's look at this same situation and see what Mark and his family would have done differently if the emergency had been a chemical release. First, seek shelter in a building or house and bring in any pets as soon as possible. Second, you must still find out what kind of emergency exists. To do this, immediately tune in to a radio or local television station to find out the details of the emergency. Once you found out what the emergency is, in this case, a small gas release, take the proper precautions for a chemical emergency. This includes quickly closing and locking all the doors and windows to provide a tight seal. Next, go through the house and turn off anything that circulates air in or out, such as air conditioners or heaters. If you have a chimney, be sure and close the damper. It's also important to have a small, battery-operated radio with spare batteries on hand. This is your link to the outside world. Tune to your local emergency broadcast station, 1610 or 1620 AM, for information and further instructions. It is important to stay in your home until the all clear is given. It's also a good idea to limit your phone calls. Staying on the phone can tie up phone lines and prevent important information from being communicated to you. This information would come via the parish-wide telephone alert system, which is in use throughout the parish. The Office of Emergency Preparedness will use this system to notify people in affected areas of the type of emergency in progress.
This is our warning and notification system. Local industry provides us with an electronic report of incidents within their area. With this report, we're able to pull up a visual map of the affected area and notify residents within this area with our outdoor warning sirens, our cable override, our telephone ring-down system, and the AM stations. This system will save lives and property. A process that took approximately 20 minutes can now be completed in 2.
To be sure that you understand the basic steps of shelter in place, let's review them one more time. First, move inside immediately. Second, shut all doors and windows. Third, turn off air conditioners or heaters. Fourth, tune your radio to 1610 or 1620 AM or turn on your television. And finally, remain there until the all clear or other instructions are given. Once you've been notified of the all clear, you may need to air out your house. Some chemicals may have gotten into parts of the house through small cracks. Do this by opening all doors and windows and go outside until your house has been sufficiently aired out. One last important point. If you have children at school, do not leave to go get them during a chemical emergency. Stay sheltered in place. They will be well taken care of at school. The staff and faculty are prepared for these situations and will make sure your children are safe and protected. Being prepared and knowing what to do is the key to making sure you and your family are safe and protected during an emergency situation. Albert Kirby knew what to do when he was caught outside, and the Senecas had a plan too. We thank you for taking the time to view this presentation and hope that's made you aware of some information that we in Iberville Parish Care consider important. Now's the time for you to make sure that you're prepared. Don't wait until an emergency situation occurs. If you have any questions or concerns about sheltering in place, please call the Office of Emergency Preparedness at 687-5140.